the Draw the Death Machine, Sammy Callahan, and you are watching and or listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. Thumbs up, thumbs down!
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill After Seal of Approved Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler. I am joined by, I'm going to call you Sad Mike this week because we both should be.
This is my name.
Well, it's not on my screen. You don't have.
Is it not? You don't see it when it's up there?
Oh, it's not there. Yours. It's in the corner. The hardest of mics. Is that what we're going with?
The hardest.
No, we're the saddest of Mike. This is going to be a sad. Yes, the Bengals lost this week.
Oh,
it was terrible.
I am sad about that.
I was very sad.
We weren't going to bring that up. Let's not talk about that.
So did the Steelers, so it's okay. And
that's the only thing I'm taking out of that. The only thing I'm taking out of this week is that the Steelers lost. I'm actually disappointed about Aaron Rodgers being out for the season because I was looking forward to see what him and the Jets were going to be able to do this year. So I'm actually disappointed about that. You know who looks really good this year, strangely enough, because of Aaron Rodgers being out? Green Bay put on a hell of a fucking show this week.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow said it best. It's week one. Nothing counts. It's week one.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, because Packers look good.
You know what? Good for you. Anybody who cheers for the Cleveland fucking Browns, you got to win over us. It's week one. It's not going to happen again. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your fucking shitty season.
Suck it, Miz and Dolph Ziggler.
Is the Miz a Browns fan?
He's from Cleveland. Miz.
I don't give a fuck.
He did the opening ceremonies at the game this week.
Ugh,
yeah,
gross. That's why one of the greatest people that's ever been on this show is the Draw, Sammy Callahan.
You know, there's a lot of Bengals fans in the wrestling world, right? Montez Ford,
Pillman,
Moxley, Pillman Jr., Zachary Wentz from the Rascals is a big Bengals fan.
Yeah, they're all from that. The Radicals are all, the Rascals, are all from that area, right? They're all from the.
Angelo Dawson from the Street Profits is a big Bengals fan as well. He's been to a few games. Carl Anderson, a big Bengals fan.
Jake Christ.
Yeah. So, and it's fun. We're going to talk a little bit about Barry Wrestling here, but we had a fun little interaction with Bobby Orlando at Barry Wrestling, talking about he walked up to you and
he did.
Said, congratulations on signing Joe Burrow, and he's a big New York Jets fan. He was actually at the Jets game on Monday night.
Oh, Bobby, we got. I'm sorry, buddy.
The Jets won.
Yeah, but it's the game where Rodgers went down.
Yeah, but I mean, what a finish!
What a finish! But to witness that, to see that poor man, all the hype. I think it's just because of all the hype. The hype all summer.
Before we get into Barry Wrestling, I want to. I haven't told you this off air yet, but for anybody that is a sports fan in general, there's this fantastic Instagram site called Handshake Bets.
Oh, that's not the one I was thinking. Okay.
And they do these crazy bets. They're really good. Like they do most sports, but for football has been entertaining. They had one guy he bet that he could eat a chicken nugget for every pass thrown in the Jets and the Jets and the Bills game on Monday night, and he did it. Yeah. He ate 62 chicken nuggets.
Oh. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that like somebody ate 70 chicken nuggets and he went paralyzed.
Yeah, this guy he ate and he was a Jets fan, so it was hilarious because like they followed his ups and downs with the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Yeah, it's a
62 chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Now listen,
in one sitting in a 4-hour span.
You want to talk about me and my 16 Mac bites?
That might be just as bad.
62. I wonder how many Mac bites I could eat.
Probably 62. You're disgusting.
You think I could do 62?
Well, I don't have a segue for this.
Here's what we'll do. If we don't get any better this year, I'll eat a Mac bite for every time Joe Burrow gets fucking sacked in the playoffs.
You will not make it through the season. You will die. I don't have any clever segues, but I want to talk about our weekend we had. We had
What a great weekend.
It really was. We met up.
On a personal level, I'm sorry to cut you off. On a personal, can I just tell you, I want to thank you, man. I just had one of the best weekends I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
And not just because we're going to talk about this in a second. We did our first live show, which everybody knows about. We're going to talk about that. And it was a Barrie wrestling weekend, which is always fun. But it was just, I don't know, there was something really special about this weekend. You and I don't get to hang out in person as much as I'd like. We live in two different towns. We live two very different schedules, very busy schedules. So, this podcast, this is our hangout time, right?
Yeah, we're friends.
So the one every couple months that you and I get to chill out in person is really cool for me. Out of all the shows we did together, all the times we hung out, there was something different about this weekend. I can't pinpoint it, but there was something really special about this past weekend. That show itself. Did you just feel something in the air at back to school? Because I did. It was really weird. Even Gabe Deshawn wasn't stabbing people and making you want to slit your wrists and run away. Show Deshawn was making jokes with me and nobody was really pissing me off. And the people that I won't name names obviously, but the people I don't personally like from the Barrie circle weren't there. And the people I love the most, my closest friend from childhood, James, he was there. And you and Wilson, who I've adopted as one of my best friends as well, you were all there. And the wrestlers, they were just on this different level of friendliness this weekend. I don't know, man. This weekend was just really above and beyond for me. And then, of course, when Barrie was all done, you and I jumped over to Angus, went to visit our boy Adam and the crew over at Rock Solid Wrestling, and which was a perfect cap for the weekend for me.
See, it's funny. Like, I had the exact same experience with you feelings wise. Like, I felt something special. I loved hanging out with everybody, but I didn't get to see anybody. I was stressing.
You and I have very different roles at Barrie, though.
Well, I know, and like normally we get to Barrie a little bit earlier, and like I was saying when I picked you up at the train station, I was like, fuck, like I'm stressed. Like we usually get to Barrie about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and we didn't get there till closer to 2:30 this time.
Yeah. But we show up at 12:30 with big face, then we go have drinks and lunch. Well, we just skipped that part. We just skipped that part this time.
But like this time was different. I was a little on edge. I didn't know how the live show was going to go. I didn't know what our setup was going to be for it. I didn't know what my ring announcing duties were going to be. But we got it all worked out. I want to give a big shout out to Alan and the crew. I'm not going to name everybody, but just that whole production team.
They are amazing.
Yeah, Christy was fantastic at helping set all that up as well. And Alan got us the footage. We will be...
They didn't have to do anything for us. Let's just put that out there. Sorry, I always space on his last name. I want to put over his company. Alan, it's what's Alan's last name?
I only just know him as Alan, to be honest.
I know, but
Alan Taylor.
Thank you. Alan Taylor, AlanTaylor.uk. That's his webpage. Go look at the stuff he can do. He runs this production company. Alan and his crew, the one guy I always space on the name. He's a great guy. Next show I'll remember your name. I'm sorry, buddy. A guy that used to work for them doesn't work there anymore. Named Dan. Chrissy is amazing. I love Chrissy to death. She's from my home area. But they didn't owe us shit. They didn't have to do anything for us. They didn't have to tape our show. They didn't have to do anything for us. They went out of their way. They came to us asking us questions. How can we make you guys look good tonight? Alan Taylor Productions, man. If you're running a show and you need someone to tape it, AlanTaylor.uk, look them up. No one's going to make your wrestling show or whatever you do look as good as they do. Go to IWTV to realize that. Look how good they look. Barrie Wrestling looks at IWTV. That's because of Alan Taylor. I'm going to stop shilling them now, but this is not me. He didn't ask me to do this. He didn't pay me to do this. He doesn't even know I'm doing this. He's not listening to this show. I just love that company so much because they make bear wrestling look amazing and they made us look fantastic. You guys haven't seen this yet. You're not going to see it for another probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's
but when you do, man, I was blown away because I saw that the Instagram. Anyone who saw the Instagram show is going, okay, you guys suck, because the Instagram show, it's a cell phone. It's my cell phone microphone, and you can't hear shit. You hear people talking. You hear. Alan made us sound like $1 million fucking dollars. I can't put them over enough.
Yeah, they were incredible. And then I had to get caught up on my ring announcing duties for the night. So you and Wilson went and got lunch with James, and I didn't see you guys for a bit.
Can I put Wilson's appetite over for a minute?
Oh,
I go out.
You don't need to put it over to me.
We go out, and I was stressed. I wanted to make sure that the show was good, and I'm thinking I can't eat too much because I'm going to be under the bright lights. I'm going to be in front of a crowd. Last thing I need is fucking barfing in the middle of the ring. So I'm going to have something small. I'm going to have one drink, something small, whatever. So that's what I did. I had a beer. I had one shot with Wilson just to piss you off, just because you told me not to do shots. So I did one shot. I had an order of fantastic calamari at this restaurant, and that was it. Wilson, on the other hand, he's got nothing to do but to sit at the counting down table, fucking look at people and smile. So that motherfucker had an 8-ounce fucking steak, a lobster tail, a big pile of mashed potatoes. You fucking like 3 shots, 2 beers, you name it. Fucking Wilson's a fucking trooper, man.
Wilson would have did that even if he was getting in the ring to do a seminar. That's just Wilson. He can do it all. Yeah, it was funny. I was very adamant that you not drink this time, get drunk. I was very, very adamant. Do not come back drunk. You actually had one of my favorite lines of the whole night.
Was it? I'm whispering, I'm sorry in your ear when I swore.
No, that was a great line too. That made me laugh a lot too. No, it was horrible. It was right before we were about to start the show. I think we're just about to put the chairs in the ring, and I looked at you and I said, "Hey man, when's the last time you climbed in a wrestling ring? Are you you want to like get in and do a couple practice runs on this or whatever?" And he looked at me and said, "Nope. If I'm going to make an ass of myself, I'm going to do it one time and it's going to be in front of a crowd of people." And I was like, I respect the hell out of that.
That's it. Well, the way I looked at it, people are going to see it anyways, right? So if I'm going to make an ass of myself, I'm only going to do it once.
And I was proud of you. You only swore once. And it was shit. So it wasn't even that big
I said
of a word.
Shit. It wasn't even that bad of a word. I didn't call Jay Lee a cunt or anything.
We don't say the C word on the show.
So I was proud of myself for that, but I did feel bad. I did drop the shit word. I felt even worse a little later when Jay Lee literally requested, like he asked permission to swear and then said ass. I'm like, oh, I don't even count that as a swear anymore.
I would like to also give a very big thank you to Jay Lee for helping us with that. He had a big day.
What a class act.
His match got changed 4 hours before the show started, and all of a sudden
he found out on Instagram.
And all of a sudden he's in the main event against Brett Banks, and they had a banger of a main event. It was fantastic. So, Jay Lee, and we get into it in the live show, and you'll hear more of it in our conversation with him in a couple weeks. But we broke into Barrie Wrestling together. Our first show was his first show. It was 2 years ago. To the day of this show. Back to School 7 was our first show, and this was Back to School 9. So it all was like a really cool full circle moment, and just to watch how far he's come in his career. And he's just like, he's got this buzz about him now. He's one of the most sought after talents. He's really like gonna take off.
Fans, not just in Barrie, but the fans in Ontario, fans on the scene love him.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love him. Promoters love him. Independent wrestling aficionados love him. And for good reason. He's deserved that spot. There's a reason he's the longest reigning Three Pistols champion of all time. because Sean, say what you want to say about Sean. Sean knows business, though. Sean knows what's going to make his company, that extra buck and get that extra couple seats in there. Jay Lee puts people in those seats.
Yeah.
He does because you have your entertainment guys, you got your Puffs, you got your Rickies, you got your Bobbies, you got those guys who are going to make you laugh, going to make you cry, going to make you all that. Then you have your wrestlers. You have those guys that you come to watch put on the best show of the night, of the week, of the month, of the year. And Jay Lee is in every one of those fucking categories every time.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. The show was fantastic. Check it out on IWTV if you can.
One of my favorite shows we've been to, yeah.
Trent Seven's coming in for the next show. That's really cool. Him and Flares are gonna have a banger. I'm really excited to get to announce Trent Seven to the ring. That guy's a WWE NXT superstar, Mustache Mountain. Like, that's super cool for me. But then it was fun. Like, the show was over. We said our goodbyes. We had great conversation, people. And when we jumped in the car and drove about 20 minutes down the road to this small town called Angus, and we caught the end of Rock Solid Wrestling. We got to meet up with Adam, which was great. We surprised him. He didn't know we were coming. We got to catch up with some of our friends that we haven't seen in a while. Crystal Moon.
Uncle Custom is always a class act.
Yeah, Uncle Custom was great to talk to. We saw Crystal Moon, Tornado, Jake O'Reilly, and Tyler Turva. We got to meet him finally after him being on the show a couple weeks ago. And of course, one of my favorites was Big Ben Ortman's. I haven't seen him in almost a year, so I was so happy to see him. He came over, gave us a big hug.
I don't think I've seen Ben since the night he got hurt.
We weren't there that night.
Were we not?
We were there. Like, are you talking about at the Crossbody show?
No. At this match with Holden at Barrie.
No, we weren't there for that one.
Wow,
I wasn't there for that. Maybe you were.
See, that's how good that's how good Alan Taylor is in IWTV. I felt like I was there. No, I thought I was there.
I absolutely love seeing Ben. It was great to catch up with him. Make sure you guys are checking out Crossbody Pro Wrestling. They got a big show coming up with Fuerza versus Ortiz from AEW.
That's gonna be huge.
I
don't know what I'm looking forward to more, that or his match against Trent.
Yeah, the year of Fuerza,
doesn't matter who you are.
The year of Fuerza continues. So, yeah, overall, it was a great time. I'm excited for the next Barrie Wrestling show, October 7th. I'm excited for Crossbody Pro Wrestling. I'm excited for Destiny Wrestling coming up. And we're getting spoiled with some good wrestling around here.
Before we wrap up our weekend here and move on, I'd like to tell a really quick little personal story that you weren't around for, you didn't see. So I'm not even sure you realize this happened. You and I went to say our final goodbyes. We were looking for Jay Lee to say thank you one last time and jump in the car. While you were tracking down Jay Lee, I ran into Brett Banks. And I had a chance to walk up to Brett and shake his hand. And I got to say thank you to Brett for something that there's no way he could have known. I told Brent Banks that night that he is responsible for reigniting my love for indie wrestling back in 2009. I had fallen out. I had, when I was moving around Ottawa, Montreal, all these places. I barely saw any indie wrestling, and I stopped paying attention to the Ontario scene. And I didn't, I kind of fell out of love with the indie scene altogether. In 2009, I moved back to North Bay, and I went to a show put on by Blood, Sweat, and Tears. This is, pre-Smash. And the main event that night was a triple threat tag team cage match. Now, my memory sucks, so I forget the one team, but one of the teams was Brett Banks and Johnny K, his old tag team, and they were up against Ashley Six, or this other team that I can't remember, plus Ashley Six and Michael Elgin in a steel cage. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, this is why I love professional wrestling. And after that, I started going back to more BSE shows and then eventually Smash shows and, so on. I got to walk up to Brent Banks this week, shake his hand and tell him I was at that match that night. Thank you so much for that. And he smiled and he said he actually remembered that match and had good memories and stuff like that. And Brent's a really good guy. I don't know him very well, but it was really cool to catch up and tell him that little bit of the story.
Mhm.
You know, there's this weird stigma, especially when you're working within the business. There's this stigma about acting like a mark around the boys. And every once in a while, man, to me, it's not acting like a mark. It's showing respect. I need to tell these guys, you don't understand what you've done for a guy like me. And I got to do that. And that was, you know, he's gonna forget that. He forgot that by the time he got in his car. But for me, that was fucking special being able to thank him for, because if he didn't do that that night, if I didn't see that match that night, who knows, man? We might not be doing the show right now.
Oh,
You
that
know
means
what I mean?
I got heat with Brett Banks then.
Anyways, that was just a
What have you
special
done to
story
me,
I
Brett?
wanted. That was just a special story for me. I wanted to tell.
Yeah, you know, it's we had two very similar but yet two very different weekends. Like I felt sad because I didn't get to spend the time with you and Wilson and Jameser that I wanted to. I couldn't come down. Like I was strung up a little bit. I was high strung.
You really were, yeah.
I had a lot on my plate. I had a lot of things changing on the fly that I was trying to keep up with. And then like even after the show, like I just couldn't relax. Like even when we were at Rock Solid, I couldn't relax. I just couldn't shake that feeling.
I couldn't even convince you to go have a drink.
Yeah, I just like I don't know. I was just kind of like I don't know if I was overexhausted, if I was over stressed out, but I just like I needed to go home. Like I just needed to like I don't know if I needed like alone space. Like I just something was just off like with me. And it's weird because I had such an incredible night and I just couldn't like de-stressify, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so like I was very sad that I didn't get that interaction. And even when I had the opportunity to, I couldn't get it out
Enjoy
of me.
it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like
yeah.
So that was weird for me, but there was this magical feeling in the air and in the arena, and I made a point after we did the live show because like I had to rush because like we're getting ready to start the show. I need to get my last minute notes from a couple people, but I made a point to stop and I walked over to you before the show started. I gave you a hug and I said, this was really special for me and I wanted you to know that. And I know I haven't had a chance to express that yet because I'm stressed, but just so you know, this was very special for me.
It was really special for me too, man. We like everybody knows I've been wanting to do this kind of thing for a long time. I'm glad we did with Jay Lee. Jay Lee, it just made sense to do it with Jay Lee. And hopefully we're going to keep doing these. You know, if we're able to do 4 to 5 of these a year, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about at Barrie. Like we might you know, my dream is to go and do it at a bar and stuff like that one day and stuff like that. You know, that might take a couple years, but eventually we're going to get there.
You're not allowed to do a live show at a bar.
That's my dream, man. I want to do the stuff that you know that like Conrad and Bruce are doing. You know, they're sitting there having drinks in front of a crowd on a stage, and that's what I want to do. You know, just freewheeling. You know,
this free balling.
This one was special, but there's a lot bigger things I have visioned for us. You know what I mean? But the first one,
terrified.
But like I said, the first one's always special, and this was our first. This is where we busted our cherry, and I'm so happy that you and Jay Lee were in the ring with me while that cherry was busted.
This is why we're not allowed nice things.
And great show title for the next Barrie show, by the way.
No, we're not doing that. No, it's Are you talking about busted nuts or?
No, the next show is called "This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things."
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about busted nuts that you wanted to be a title for a show. I was like, all right,
that would be a great fucking show.
I mean, Sean,
anyways, let's move on from our weekend here.
Yes, the world of wrestling. What's going on in the world of wrestling?
I don't care. I got. Let's talk about fun. Let's talk about things we like.
I like wrestling.
First of all, no, you don't.
I do kind of. I want to talk about this wrestler documentary on Netflix.
No,
watch
not
it.
yet. No. Yeah, sure. Okay. No.
All I'm gonna say is watch it. I'm on episode 4 right now, and it's incredible. And
Speaking of which,
we'll talk about it
any-
more in detail later.
hopefully, anybody who tuned in today, like I announced last week, said
No, I edited it out.
No,
I edited it out of the show.
Well, you didn't tell me that.
Well, because I'm the editing wizard.
Well, you have to tell me these things. Well,
I-
once I get edited again.
I'm not editing this. We are in talks. Hopefully, we're trying
Yes.
to get Al Snow on the show. We've spoken
Yes.
to him. That's all we're gonna say.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Have faith in me here. I'm the editing wizard.
So edit this out, please.
No, it's too late. So we're recording this on a Wednesday at midnight, and I got to be up at 6 a.m. and I still got to edit this show. So this is
All
it,
right.
baby. One take. This is a one take show.
One tick, Walsh at it. Let me get into this then. Tonight's list. So a couple of weeks ago, I told you guys that I absolutely adore wrestling in general in 1991 and 1992. It's two of my favorite years of professional wrestling.
And here we are talking about 1993.
But 1993 leaves some question marks for me. So I wanted to see is 1993 good or bad? And that was my goal for today, to do this list. We're going to talk about the top 7 greatest pay-per-view matches of 1993, and we're going to come to a conclusion whether or not 1993 was a good year or not.
Let me ask you a question before we get into any of this. I have a question for you.
I'm not ready to get into the list yet.
I know, but before we get into
okay.
your conversation, I have a question because it just
Okay.
goes off what you said there. You said
Sure.
you love 1991, 1992.
Yeah.
Now that you've watched 1993's pay-per-view matches,
Mhm.
what year is better in the ring? 91, 92, 93? 92 is a strong year.
93 surprised me, and I'd probably put 93 over 91 now.
I would agree with that.
But 92 is still my year.
Yeah, 92 had some bangers. I would say 92, 93, 91. That would be my order personally.
Yeah, that's how I'm doing it.
Although
let
WrestleMania
me tell you
7,
something.
WrestleMania 7 is a grossly underrated WrestleMania.
Okay. 1993, WrestleMania was the worst pay-per-view of the year. So
That is correct.
Let me tell you something though. Something I realized, and this is going to lead to this topic of discussion I want to talk to you about. Now, for my list, I focused on WWF and WCW because I'm doing pay-per-views. But there was another product that was having a pretty good year in 1993, and that's All Japan Wrestling. And Tyler, do you know who was having a fucking banger of a year in All Japan?
In 93,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Dusty Williams was having a banger year.
You're not wrong. But the other man who was having a fucking year was Stan the Man Hansen.
Yeah, Stan Hansen had a good
All
year in
right,
93
Stan
as well.
Hansen had a great 93, and it led me to I kind of got off. I got like sidetracked. I went down a bit of a Stan Hansen rabbit hole, and Stan Hansen has been called by several sources the greatest and most influential gaijin in the history of Japan wrestling.
Hard to argue.
So here's what I want to ask you. I'm putting two guys up against each other. Who deserves that title? The most influential and the most iconic gaijin in Japan.
You can't just put me on the spot with these things.
Is it? Yes, I can. Is it Stan Hansen or Kenny Omega? Who's more important from a gaijin standpoint? Who's more important in Japanese wrestling? It's hard.
I'm honestly,
I don't have an answer.
I do have an answer, and it's not the popular one, but I think my reasoning for it.
You're gonna go Stan Hansen?
I'm going Kenny.
Oh, you're gonna go Kenny. Okay.
For the reason that because of guys like Kenny Omega and the Bullet Club, let's just say the Bullet Club in whole, but with AJ, Kenny, like that whole group, they got New Japan Pro Wrestling over bigger than it's ever been in North America.
100%.
And Stan didn't bring that to North America.
I agree with you. Stan did amazing things, and I think he was more respected by that culture. than Kenny was.
Kenny's well respected too, but yeah, Stan is.
I agree, but Stan, it was also two very, very different eras, obviously. Two very different companies. All Japan and New Japan are two very different worlds. You know what I mean? You got Gedo and you got Baba, and they did things very, very differently. I think it was probably harder as a Gaijin to get the respect of Baba than it probably was to get the respect of Gedo.
I mean, the business is so different too.
Mhm.
Like now compared to what it was then. Like New Japan was in a downward. It was like WWF in the early '90s. They were in a down period until the Bullet Club came. Like the Bullet Club really revamped that company. And Tanahashi had a big hand in that. And Okada had a big hand in that as well, and Shinsuke Nakamura. But All Japan Pro Wrestling had Kenta Kobashi, Misawa, Stan Hansen, Vader, Gary Albright, Dr. Death.
Leads to my question: who else would you put in that conversation, though, other than Hansen and Omega? Who do you put in that conversation of the greatest Gaijins?
Terry Funk.
Obviously, Terry Funk, 1000%. Obviously, you brought up the name Vader. I think Vader has to be in. It has to be in that conversation.
Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
Jimmy Snuka doesn't get the credit he deserves. He was a big part of Brody and Hansen's squad.
I never thought of that. Yeah, you're right.
Hogan was huge.
Thank you. And that was the next name I was going to bring up, because we're going to talk about Hogan in 1993, and Hogan spent more time in Japan than he did in the United States in 1993.
Well, he got in all kinds of heat in '93 for that. You know the story with the belt, right?
Not all of it. No, I don't know. I don't know it in depth. No.
So he was the WWF World Champion, and I think he went and worked a war show with Tenryu.
Okay.
I don't know if it was War. I can't remember the promotion's name. It wasn't War. Either way, it doesn't matter. But they worked a dome show together. They had a working relationship with the WWF. That's why you saw Tenryu at WrestleMania working Demolition. WWF was working with them, sending a lot of talent to Japan. And Hogan was cutting a promo in Japan, basically saying, like, the WWF title is meaningless to me. I want the Japanese championships. And he got in a lot of heat for cutting that promo.
I do remember that promo. Where did the heat come from? Mostly from Vince and company?
Yeah, I mean, you're the world champion. Well, you can't be saying that
course.
Shit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like Hogan's got a long history in Japan, but I think Terry Funk might take the number one spot for me. You got to also, Abdullah the Butcher had a big run in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Dory Funk Jr. as well. Oh, hold on. The Dynamite Kid. The Dynamite Kid.
Sir. Yes, sir. Let's throw some flowers to Prince Devitt, Finn Balor.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be topping it, but he brought the Bullet Club out, and that's very important.
He had the run.
Brock Lesnar to a degree.
He only had like 6 matches over there. Like, I wouldn't give it to Brock. That was fucked up.
I think I only give it to Brock, and that's it. I think give it to Brock because of the time period.
Scott Norton
happening in New Japan. It got eyes back on Scott Norton. His Japan run is so underrated. People don't realize how good that man. 100%. People don't understand how really good he was. And it's the same thing. You mentioned Dr. Death, Steve Williams. You want to talk about. Sure, his NWA stuff was good. His WWE stuff was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
But Dr. Death, Steve Williams. You want to see the best of Steve Williams? Go watch his Japan stuff.
Yeah, he's a Triple Crown champion. I actually just watched a huge documentary all about his entire Japanese run. It's incredible. It's actually about his whole career pretty much, but mainly focused on Japan. Fantastic. Cool. I should send you the link. It's really good.
Please do.
Yeah. Terry Funk is my main answer, though.
That I'm not going to argue on that. Getting into 1993, before we hit the list, 93 was a weird fucking year, man.
Yeah.
93 is a year of transition.
For everywhere.
For the last 10 years, WWF especially, it was the Hulk Hogan show. Okay? For 10 straight years, it's Hulk Hogan. He's had up until now for the last 8 WrestleManias up until now. Let's not count 9 because that happened in 93. From WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 9, every show is headlined by Hulk Hogan. Now, before you correct me, no, I know he didn't. I know he didn't finish. He didn't close out WrestleMania 4. I still count him as the headliner because the headline of the of WrestleMania 4 was the tournament. So you didn't know. Nobody put money down on that show because they thought they were getting Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase. They put money down because who was on the poster?
Hogan and Andre.
Hogan and Andre.
That was
Okay,
tough.
so he may not have closed the show, but the motherfucker headlined. So
I mean, and he was posing in the ring at the end of the show.
Exactly. So
Hogan must pose.
He headlined every WrestleMania for 8 straight years. This was the formula that WWF followed this whole time. Now 93 comes. It's halfway through 92, and the steroid bullshit is happening. Shortly after WrestleMania, Hogan goes bye-bye.
Yeah, after WrestleMania 8, he was gone.
Exactly. We don't see Hogan again until shortly before WrestleMania 9. And even then, the storyline is, it's not like they're throwing him straight into the main storylines. He's doing stories where he's helping his butter Brutai. He's he's got that very underrated, I believe, and I know you agree, tag team match at WrestleMania 9. But then of course he does the he does the bullshit finish at WrestleMania 9. Everybody bitches about. But then you don't see him again barely on TV at all until King of the Ring, which is his last fucking match. His last match on television, anyways. After that, he does a bunch of New Japan stuff, and then he's gone. We don't see that man on television again until No Way Out in what year was it? 2002.
Yeah.
So
let's take this back even a step further here, though. Let's open this up a little bit more because there's so much more to it than just Hogan. Hogan does disappear from TV.
I'm going to talk about a couple other guys, but yes.
Right? No, but it's not even a couple guys. It's the company as a whole. Like you said, we're in the steroid trial is happening right now. A lot of uncertainty. We're seeing the rise of guys like Bret Hart up the card now. By the end of the year, he was your world champion heading into 1993. We are in this weird middle phase where we're not at the new generation yet, but we're not. We're just in the middle,
working our way out. Exactly.
Because
we have Ric Flair, the greatest world champion of all time, as far as a lot of people are concerned at this point in time. He's on our roster, but in a few weeks he's not.
Well, then you flip the script though. Let's look at WCW at this time period because we're focusing mainly on WWF here. WCW in 91 and 92, they're running the dark arenas still, not a lot of flair. You're starting to see the rise of Eric Bischoff into power now. His power is growing more and more and more, but you're also getting your biggest star back that the fans have been chanting, we want Flair, for 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now Flair's coming back. So 93, and now
we're talking about, I called it in WWF a year of transition. It's the same thing in WCW because
very similar patterns.
Because in the beginning of that year, it still very much feels like an NWA product. Yes, it's called WCW, but it feels very NWA, a lot of it. And then throughout the year, you see these changes.
All of a sudden, the arenas are lit brighter. There's more flashy entranceways. They're doing Universal Studio tapings, right?
By the time 93 ends, your typical, Rocket NWA feel is gone, and we've entered the Bischoff era. It's both these companies have huge transitions from January to December. Go over to WWF again. You just mentioning, sure, we started off with guys like Hogan and Flair still in the company, but through the year, who were the stars of that company? Who was making the money? Who was putting on the best shows? It was Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Mr. Perfect.
I don't know about Shawn yet. Shawn was still finding himself in 92.
We're gonna talk about Shawn this year. Shawn had some bangers in 93.
Yeah, but we're talking about that transition. Like 92, Shawn was still finding himself. 93, right? 92, Bret had found himself.
100%. And Bret was finding himself in the spotlight. He's finding himself in the main event, rightfully so. But Sean, this is a time where he's making the Intercontinental Championship, feel special. Him and Mr. Perfect I think so. Anyways, you obviously don't agree with me.
He was having a good run, but Sean was kind of like getting in his own way a little bit too, because by the end of '93 he was suspended. He was suspended in the middle of '93. Sorry.
There's another name I keep forgetting to bring up, but Razor Ramon. This is a fantastic year for Scott Hall.
Yeah, '93 was really the year of Razor. Him and Brett, I think I would put Razor ahead of Sean in the pecking order of '93 as far as who's rising.
Well, Sean's not getting shots at the world title right now. You know what I mean? Like, you're 100%
no,
right.
but I mean, Sean's your Intercontinental Champion going into the year. But I think by the time the year ends, Razor's stock is higher than Sean's.
I don't disagree with you.
But then it's fun because then you look at 1994 and the drastic changes in the company again. The WWF is now new generation, and WCW brings in Hulk Hogan, and the wrestling world never looks back after that.
Exactly. 94. One day we'll have a good view at 94. We're going to take a good look at 94 because 94 is a very, not the greatest wrestling, definitely not the best wrestling. We're going from the best, I think you can agree with me, the best King of the Ring pay-per-view ever to one of the worst.
WWF King of the Ring 1993 is one of the best pay-per-views in the company history.
If to anybody else, any other fan, you're like, hey, 93, the best pay-per-view was King of the Ring and the worst was WrestleMania, they'd probably laugh at you.
Yeah.
But that's the case, man.
Watch it.
There were only two. I watched a lot of wrestling in the last 2 weeks. There are only two phenomenal pay-per-views in 1993. There's a bunch of good ones and there's a lot of bad ones, but there's only two phenomenal ones: King of the Ring and Super Brawl 3.
Super Brawl 3 is a great card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else to get into before we talk about my list?
I do not.
All right. Hit that pause button so I can fill up this drink because I'm going to need it, baby.
Oh, now you put me on the spot.
All right. So I'm just gonna jump into it, man. This is my top 7 greatest pay-per-view matches from 1993. And I gotta tell you, man, I think I'm gonna get some heat for this list, but not from you.
Well, then it doesn't matter because everybody else's opinion is wrong.
I think this is my prediction for the show, and we'll figure it out when I'm all done. My prediction is you're going to like the matches I chose. You're not going to particularly agree with my order. And
that's about how most of that's pretty par for the course.
Now, with that said, I think a lot of our listeners, are going to be like, well, you forgot this match, you forgot this match, you forgot this match. Well, we can only do 7, boys. So here we go. We are starting off with a fucking banger of a gruesome, violent match. Something I love to see every once in a while. My number 7 is Cactus Jack versus Big Van Vader at Halloween Havoc.
I really enjoy this match,
but I bet you know why it's my number 7.
The stipulation to it really hurts it.
I'm not a Texas Deathmatch guy. I know you're not.
I have to wait and see what else is on and not on your list because this is list worthy. However, the stipulation might bump it completely out for me.
I really enjoy this match. I've watched it twice in the last month. They made it's violent enough and entertaining enough that the stipulation doesn't fuck it up for me.
Foley was planning to end his career, right?
7.
Foley was planning to end his career during this match
in 93.
Well, he thought that he thought his career was going to end during this match because of the spot he did with Vader, where he was on Vader's back on the ramp, and Vader just jumped backwards and squished him. And Foley legitimately thought he was going to be so injured after that he would have to retire.
Yet he was cool doing it.
He said it didn't hurt that much.
That's Mick Foley, man.
Yeah.
So that's my number 7. Moving on to my number 6. We're moving on to what I consider to be one of my least favorite SummerSlams of all time.
Yeah.
But it did have a couple shining moments in this pay-per-view, and this is one of them. We're going to talk about the Intercontinental Championship being on the line from Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Perfect.
No,
Really?
because this is not
You
the
don't
best.
like you don't like this match?
This is not the best match on SummerSlam '93, and I don't think you're going to put it on your list.
Who said we're done talking about it?
I just have a feeling in my gut, but no, I was not a big fan of this match. I don't know if I don't know if my expectations were too high for it, but
Okay.
I just felt like it never got out of second gear.
No, that's unfortunate. I really enjoy this match. Like I said, I watched it more than once in the last couple of weeks, just to make sure. Because the first time you watch it, you're like, am I just liking this because the two names? Because I love those two names. Then you watch it without the bias, and like, yeah, it's a stellar match. It really is. I really enjoy it. It's not long. It's only like 12 minutes long, but it's a good match.
Like, I'm not saying it was a stinker. I don't think it was in the top 7 matches of the year for pay-per-views.
Huh? All right. Well, this one, I'm sure you're going to agree with me. You have to agree with me because not only is it one of the best matches of the year, it's on the best pay-per-view of the year. We're moving to Bret Hart versus Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament.
Great match. Great match. I mean,
I'm going to throw something out there. I think this is my favorite Bam Bam Bigelow match of all time.
Yeah. The crowd was hot for it. Bret, the story that Bret told throughout this night. I mean, you could really put all 3 of Bret's matches from King of the Ring '93 on this list. You know what I mean?
We'll have a talk about that. I think I get some heat for leaving one off. But.
Well, I mean, I know the one you would leave off, and I understand that because it was the weakest of the 3. If that's where we're going with this, but yeah, this was a great match. Bret, every match he was just a little bit more banged up. You know what I mean? The match with Razor, he had hurt his fingers, so he came out with his hands taped up for his match with Perfect. His match with Perfect, he hurt his knees, so he's limping against Bam Bam. Meanwhile, Bam Bam squashes Hacksaw Jim Duggan in the first round of the tournament, gets a bye in the second round, and is fresh as a daisy fighting Bret. You cannot do better storytelling than this. Plus, we get Luna in there. Like, yeah, man.
And,
home
running. Sometimes, sometimes I kind of hate this because Bret was very much known for these kind of stories where he's always, oh, Bret got his ass beat 16 times today, and he shouldn't even come out. He's limping to the ring, and he fought his brother earlier today, and now he's facing fucking Yokozuna. There's too many times in WWF history where they put Bret in the scenario where he's the guy fighting from underneath, and he always wins. He always fucking wins.
They did at the Royal Rumble too.
Exactly. To me, it's kind of annoying, but anybody else, it wouldn't work for it. It works for Bret.
Bret really does work for Bret because Bret makes it real. Like the little things, like just taping his fingers up, but it's different.
I do think JR went a little too far on commentary.
Yeah, he's a little hyped up.
He's so brave. He's so courageous. Oh, not like this. Not like this. He's so brave and courageous.
Yeah, but that's what makes JR amazing.
Don't let the fuck down, JR.
Hey, you know what though? I'm okay with it because you're establishing the King of the Ring. You want this to be a big deal. You're putting over 100%. Bret like $1 million, right? To me, I think maybe I would have had this at my number 7 spot. Just freely blue spacing things out of my head here, but
okay.
I'm interested to see what else we got on here.
Interesting. Yeah, this has to be mid-list for me. This can't be 7 for me. I thought it was too good of a match, and I think it's almost disrespectful to the legacy of Bam Bam to put it that low on the list.
It's not past 6 for me.
Because I do think this is Bam Bam's best match in his career. I truly believe that. With that said, I didn't watch. We didn't mention Bam Bam. We were talking about the Japanese stuff. I didn't watch a lot of Bam Bam's Japanese stuff, so maybe I'm missing some really good matches. But as far as the Western stuff, as far as WWF goes, this is Bam Bam. This is my favorite Bam Bam match of all time.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that one with you.
We're moving on. My number 4 is the main event from my favorite WCW pay-per-view of the year. We're going to Super Brawl 3, and it's are you ready to go to the White Castle of Fear, brother?
It's a great match.
Vader versus Sting in a what they call it, a lights out strap match. I didn't get that part. I didn't understand that part, but this is probably one of, if not my favorite strap match of all time.
Hey, you want to talk
It's
about a
just so
guy?
good.
You want to talk about a guy who had a great year? 92 and 93 was the year of Vader, man.
Who is the unsung hero of this match?
Probably Harley Race.
Harley Race. He's so fucking good in this match. I love him. He gets Vader over so well. I
And
love Harley Race in this.
you mentioned violence, man, earlier with the Foley match. This match was violent, and just something about like there's certain guys that you just put them together and it's magic. And Sting and Vader never had a bad match, man. They always created magic, and it's just it's like a credit to Vader and his bulliness and his dominance and his like big man aura, and Sting just knowing how to be the underdog. And yeah, man, this is a great match. I wouldn't even have a problem if it was in your number 3 spot.
It was originally in my number 3 spot. It really was. Then I rewatched this match and said, "This is top 3 shit. This is and I don't give a fuck. Send me your fucking emails. Countdown7@gmail.com. Tell me how wrong you are that this match does not deserve to be in my fucking top 3. My number 3, we're going back to my least favorite SummerSlam of all time. We're doing the Steiner Brothers versus the Heavenly Bodies.
This match is fucking incredible. This was the match
is
I was very upset
phenomenal.
at you about. I didn't think it was going to make the list. I don't know if I'd have it at my number 3 spot, but fuck, is this match phenomenal?
It wasn't going to be, man. Originally, I'm like, I bet you this is like a 5 or 6. No, man. I rewatched it for the first time in a few years.
I told you
this is top 3. This is a great match. This is an amazing match. This is probably Tom Pritchard's best match ever.
It's up there. Him and Candido had a banger in the ECW arena too. But yeah, this match is awesome. I like the pre-match when Todd Pentangill's interviewing the Steiner's family, his sister, and she keeps calling them by their shoot names instead of their working names, which is so funny.
Moving on to my number 2. Spoiler alert, the match I alluded to earlier that is not on my list from the King of the Ring 1993. We're not going to be talking about Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon today.
No.
Main reason being, though, is not only because his match with Bam Bam was better, but his match with Razor Ramon at the Royal Rumble was better. My number 2 is from the Royal Rumble 1993, and it's Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon.
Oh.
When was the last time you watched this match?
I haven't watched it in a while. I know it's a great match.
Good, dude. It's really good. And this is like original heel Razor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
the build for this match is good too. The build for this match is really good.
You don't seem convinced this should be in my number 2. Are you even convinced it should be on my list?
I have to rewatch it to say if it's list worthy or not, because I haven't watched it in too long for me to say that. But you're missing a absolutely huge match then on this list that's somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll hear your number 1 before I say what it is. But I've got like my number 1 and number 2, and you don't have one of them on your list.
All right. I don't think my number 1 is a shocker to anybody.
No.
I mean, the best match in 1993 from any company, anywhere, was Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect of the King of the Ring. Yes. This is just it's common knowledge. This is not up for fucking debate.
No, and we've talked about this match on our show many times.
Yes.
This is a great match.
This is up there with, you know, Bret and Perfect at SummerSlam, Bret and Poldak at SummerSlam. This is one of Bret's, you know, I'm that guy who always claims to hate Bret Hart and then says that Bret Hart's in 50 of the 60 greatest matches of all time. But it is what it is. Bret Hart is, I hate him. I can't stand the man. There's a lot I don't like about Bret Hart. A lot I don't like about Bret Hart. But he puts on the best matches in the world. He just does. And he's smart enough to know who to put those matches on with. We're talking about 1993. Some of the best TV matches, you know, this is how good Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels are. Some of the best matches put on television were Bret Hart versus Doink the fucking Clown.
They had a great match at SummerSlam also.
Shawn Michaels versus fucking Crush.
Yeah.
Okay, these matches shouldn't be as good as they are. But Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart are that fucking good. Bret Hart had a great match against Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler was a great worker.
Jerry Lawler was a great worker.
He
Jerry
was
Lawler
in 93 till.
Jerry Lawler was not a great worker in WWF.
Oh,
We never saw Memphis Lawler in WWF ever, not even once.
I think that's why people don't think he's a great worker, because he brought the Memphis style and it didn't fit in the WWF.
In Memphis, he's a phenomenal worker.
Yeah, but
we never saw that level. I think they were watering him down in WWE.
Lawler never changed his style, because in Memphis people worked Memphis, and in WWF Lawler worked Memphis, but it just was toned down, like you said, and people weren't used to it. But to me, I love Lawler. Like, Lawler was perfect for what he was in WWF.
I mean, out of all the things Lawler did in WWF, the best thing he probably ever did was his storylines with Bret Hart.
Oh, 100%. Kiss My Foot match.
Yeah. We're talking about the King of the Ring. After he gets, the crown and everything, after he beats Bam Bam, he's gotten his ass kicked all fucking day. And how does the show end? By Jerry Lawler coming out and kicking his ass and telling him to kiss his royal feet.
And he stiffed Bret too with that throw. Bret was pissed.
You want to talk about fucking heat? That's heat right there, brother.
So you've never read Bret's book, right?
I have not, no.
So
it's on my list of things to do.
Bret tells this incredible story in his book about this time period working with Lawler. So you've heard the story about Hogan, right? The King of the Ring. Where
No.
So the summer of 90,
he worked Yoko that night, yeah?
Yeah. So the summer of 93, the plan was, Hogan's going to take the belt at Mania, and we're going to build, and Bret's going to tap Hogan out to the sharpshooter at SummerSlam.
See, my understanding was that wasn't the plan. My understanding was that Hogan changed the plans the day of Mania.
Hogan politic, but the plan the whole time was Hogan versus Bret at SummerSlam. They shot promotional photos for it of them tug-of-warring over the belt.
Sure.
Now, depending on who you believe, either Vince was playing games with Hogan. Vince and Hogan were having a political battle all summer. They were playing games. Vince told Bret Hogan refused to do the job. Hogan said that's not the case. Vince is fucking trying to tear a wedge between us. I don't know that part of the story. But Bret would piss at Hogan. Right before he went out to fight Bam Bam, Hogan had the shit match with Yoko. Bret's tearing it down. And Bret basically was like, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You wouldn't put me over. You're trash. Nobody wants you here. This is fucking my company now. Like, get the fuck out. And not so many words, but he told Hogan off, went out and had a banger with Bam Bam, right? And then he was pissed because when the match was over, Lawler picked up that fucking throne and stiffed him with it, like sloppy, right?
Yeah.
Bret was pissed about it, and I think Bret was like a little banged up, or he did something like leading into SummerSlam. Bret was like, I kept that in the back of my mind because Jerry's kind of pissing me off, and then he said Lawler fucking stiffed the hell out of him with the crutch, like at SummerSlam as well. And Bret was like, I just had a fucking enough about it. So
again, that's Memphis, man.
But you stiffed him in the back of the head with a crutch. That's just sloppy, right? Like that's bullshit. So, but Bret knew what the finish was. So Bret said that when he put him in the sharpshooter, and he knew he was holding on him for like 10 minutes, he said he fucking locked it in as hard as he could and gave Lawler his receipt. Like Lawler wasn't shooting, like Lawler was shoot in pain when he was fucking in the sharpshooter. Like Bret laid it in on him.
That's one of those moves that if you want to, you could make your fucking opponent get, roll the fucking figure four on me all day. If I don't want to sell it, I'm not selling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The sharpshooter.
Oh, yeah.
You want me to sell? You can make me sell.
All my younger siblings have felt the sharpshooter.
Might as well. I only have the one, and it's a female. And sorry,
My sister felt it. My three brothers, they all felt it. They ever got out of line, fucking sharpshooter.
let's just say my son is very lucky. His legs are too small right now.
Well, but he'll learn.
He felt a he felt a power bomb.
Well, that'll learn him.
This is
Okay.
this one. I don't know if I told you this story off air or not. I gotta tell the story on there. Have I told you the story about the tallywhacker?
Yes.
My son, for those who don't know the story, my son's getting into wrestling, and we're gonna have to probably back off now. I've gotten 3 phone calls from the school lately. He punched a kid in the face today.
Oh no.
Where, things are not going well. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So I
not
may
good.
have to stop the whole wrestling thing, unfortunately. But up until now, he was getting into wrestling, and my son asked me one day. My son's 5, by the way. And my son asked me, he said, "Daddy, can you teach me some wrestling moves?" And I said, "Sure." And I grab him and I throw his head between my legs. And I got him up and I power bomb him on the bed. And he thinks it's the funniest fucking thing. He's laughing. He goes, "I can't do that move. I'm too tiny." I said, "Yeah, you can't do that." He goes, "I'm going to make my own wrestling move." I said, "Okay, what is it?" He goes, "It's called the tallywhacker." I said, "Okay, what is it?" And he fucking punched me in the dick.
Great aim he's got too.
Yeah. Little bastard. And now I'm wondering why he's punching kids in the face.
Well, I mean, better than facing the dick, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to ask you a question because I have a huge glaring problem with your list.
Oh, okay. So something big is missing, and let me look at my list here. Is it WWF or WCW?
It's WCW.
Okay. Is it Vader and Flair?
Yes.
Okay. That's your shit, man. That's not my.
Dude, that was one of the best matches in company history.
Oh, I don't agree with that by far.
Oh man.
You and I are going to disagree on that by a large margin.
It's literally one of the most famous matches in WWE history.
It wasn't even the best match of that year. Yeah, no, you and I are going to disagree on that one.
Yeah,
I'm not going to shit. Listen to me. I'm not going to shit on the match.
That's the number two or three spot for me on the list.
I think his Vader's match with Sting far usurps his match with Flair.
Different match, but I think that Flair match is something special, man. It was the crowd was hot. They had the career stipulation. Listen, Flair, one of Flair's first matches back.
You could convince me to bounce Jack and Vader or Michaels and Perfect for that match, but my top 4 stays as it is and does not get touched by that match.
I mean, listen, I'm a huge fan of the Steiners and Heavenly Bodies, but I can't.
That's a great fucking match.
I can't agree with it being in the spot that you have it in. It is list worthy though. It should be on your list. But to me, it's Brett Perfect, Flair Vader, Sting. Sorry, Flair Vader, Sting Vader. Like those
Sting Vader's your number 3. That was Sting Vader was my original number 3. But
those are I think
Steiners and Bodies, man. I think Steiners and Bodies is a better match.
I think those are the 3 best matches of the year in 1993.
Now, in all, let's now talk about 1993. We just talked about pay-per-view tonight. We did a top 7 because that's what we do. I don't think I could have done a top 20. I don't think there was 20 good pay-per-view matches this year.
It's a rough year.
It was a rough year. However, if you told me to do 20 good television matches, I could have done that.
I'd have to really.
Raw was on fucking fire this year. When I was doing my research, I'm looking at all these matches that I couldn't put on this fucking list. Do you know who had one of the best fucking string of matches this year?
Donkey Clown.
Sean and Marty.
Yeah, they had the IC title change, right?
All their great matches. They had one match on fucking pay-per-view. Was at the Royal Rumble.
It was not good.
And it's probably the worst. It is the worst match of their fucking string. They had 3 matches on Raw that were fantastic, and then they had one on pay-per-view and shit the bed. Doink the Clown was a fucking star this year. Crush was putting on decent matches this year. 1993 was a great year for television. Go over to WCW. Check out Saturday Night and their television product. They were putting on. Do you want to know who the stars this year were? fucking Steve Austin and Brian Pillman and Ricky Steamboat and whoever he decided to take up with that week.
Shane Douglas.
You know, Shane Douglas for many of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Rick Rude had a strong 93 as well.
Rick Rude had a great 93. A lot of the matches I wanted to put on this card just didn't make it because it was just in 94. You know what I mean? Like, or just in 92. Steamboat and Steve Austin one-on-one. That didn't happen in 94. It happened in 92 or 93, sorry.
Yeah.
It happened in 92 and 94.
Not 93. What about what about the cage match from Slamboree 93, the Hollywood Blondes against Steamboat and Shane Douglas?
That missed my radar, I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch that match.
Because Steamboat and Shane Douglas went under a different name. They were like under Mass. It was like a gimmick they were doing. Okay. The other match I would strongly consider I wouldn't put it on my list probably, but great honorable mention. And if you're doing only WWF pay-per-views, it might make my number 7 spot. Steiner's and Head Shrinkers from WrestleMania 9 had a great match. Yeah, it's one of the only things worth watching on that pay-per-view. Yeah, I mean that and Sean and Tatanka. Sean and Tatanka was good, and if they had a better finish, Sean and Tatanka had a couple good matches in '93. Yeah. If that match would have had a better finish, I think that would have been a good spot on the list as well. They had a great, even better than the match at WrestleMania. They had a great match on Raw. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember it being on the Heartbreak Kid VHS tape back in the day. They had a great match on Raw. Yeah, Sean had some fucking bangers, man. 93 was a good year for Sean because he had found himself and he was really starting to get to that next level, right? Why do you think we left 1994? We left 1993 with Brett on top, with Sean still climbing. Why do you think Mr. Perfect didn't get to that level? He got hurt in 93. Oh, no, he was back in 93. Where did he go? He just kind of he left the company. He came back and he did his face thing. Why? But why wasn't he big enough to, for Vince to fight for him? And why are we not talking about Kurt Hennig as one of the big main eventers? Yeah, he left the company. He was gone by Survivor Series. I understand that, but my question is, why did if he was going to be a star for that company, Vince wouldn't have let him leave the company? I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just I don't know. In all honesty, I don't have the answer for that. Something maybe like he just wasn't working as a face. Like, Perfect does better work as a heel. I always wonder. There's certain guys I always wonder, what held them back. Mr. Perfect is number 1 on that list for me. The other one, of course, is my favorite of all time, Roddy Piper. These guys who, in my estimation, were the best of all time. What kept them from that spot? What kept them from being the next Hogan? Why was it Brett in that spot, not Kurt Hennig? Because if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, pound for pound, I think Kurt Hennig was the better wrestler. Over Brett? Yeah. I don't agree with that. And I think a lot of people wouldn't agree with that. But at least agree I have a fight here. I just don't think I don't think that there's anybody better than Brett. I think Bret Hart inside of the ring is one of the best wrestlers of all time. I really? Say Bret, Kurt Angle, and Bryan Danielson, I think. I was gonna say there's no way you don't think Dragon has a shot at that. I think he's one of the great. I'm just talking about inside of the ring, putting on wrestling matches, believability. Bret, Perfect, and Kurt Hennig, and that's what does it for me. It's Bret's style, right? Listen, you could be one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. Talk about your Dean Malenkos and your Chris Benoit's, your even your Bryan Danielson's, because I don't think Bryan Danielson tells a story the way that Bret Hart does. Your Kurt Angles, your Shelton Benjamins, these great professional wrestlers, these great technical wrestlers. They're all amazing. No fucking buddy tells a story the way that Bret Hart does. No, he's the best. Bret and Kurt Angle, I think, are. No, I think there are better storytellers than Bret.
but nobody has that combination of amazing wrestler and amazing storyteller together. Like I think Roddy Piper's one of the greatest storytellers of all time, but he's not the wrestler that Brett was. I think Hulk Hogan's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
Triple H is one of my favorite storytellers in the history of the company. I put him in my top 3. He's not the wrestler that Bret Hart was. So for that combination, I think it's only Bret.
Bret had a way of making everything believable and making everything look real, even when it wasn't. Like, and I'll use the 2 examples: WrestleMania 8 and WrestleMania 13. No blood allowed in the company. Bret fucking gigged him. Bret gigged himself in WrestleMania
Bret
8.
Don't give a shit.
But he did it in such a way that he convinced everybody it was fucking hard way. Right? Yeah. Same thing with Austin. Bret gigged Austin right in front of Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 13.
Honey Badger don't give a shit.
Did you see that piece of memorabilia, by the way, that Austin gave Bret from WrestleMania
the razor?
13?
Yeah. You think framed it and shit, eh?
Yeah. I think it's hanging in his bar right now.
Yeah. Bret has a bar.
Yeah, in Calgary.
I think I knew that. I want to go there.
Bar. So yeah. Couple discrepancies with your list, but overall not too bad. Not too bad at all.
So where are we putting 93? Now we already put it. I think we put it between 92 and 91. 92 is the superior year, but 93 I think gets the edge over 91. 93, great year, good year, shit year for wrestling.
Thumbs slightly up.
Okay, good year.
Thumbs. It was a good year. It wasn't like fantastic. It was above mediocre for sure. But we started to see the face turn of the Undertaker really take off in 93, and Taker started to get to a different level, right? Like,
so how are you feeling when we enter 94 then? 94 we hit some bumps, right? 94 the steroid trials are really happening. Vince has to take a step back.
No, that was 92, 93. The steroid trial was done 94, wasn't it?
Wasn't 90? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't 94 the year that Art Donovan did King of the Ring?
Yeah.
The whole reason was because Vince McMahon couldn't do commentary because he was in the steroid trial.
Was it 94? He was doing steroid trial?
No, it was 94.
I always thought it was 92 for some reason.
I am positive. The whole reason Art Donovan was there was filling in for Vince McMahon. That 94 was the year that it was rumored that Jerry Jarrett was going to take over.
See, I always thought that was 92.
92. There was too much going on. No, 92 is when Zahorian. 92 is when Zahorian first got snipped.
I thought he got indicted in 92.
And then, because you know how long the justice system takes. By the time it actually went to court, it was 1994.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So do you think 93, calling it a good year, you think 94 we take a dip, or do you think we're still doing all right? Because we're entering the new generation, right?
94 was the new generation.
Yeah.
I think you know what? I said 93 was better, but I'm gonna take it back because we got Bret and Owen 94, so that trumps everything that 93 did.
That's it. WrestleMania 10 was the start of a string of good stuff going on. I think we get some really good pay-per-views in 1994.
No, we don't. They're really bad. If you really go back and look at it, Royal Rumble 94 was
Royal Rumble. The Rumble was better than 93.
Yeah.
The undercard was better in 93.
Agreed. WrestleMania was good. SummerSlam was a
King of the Ring sucked.
King of the Ring sucked.
I'm glad Owen got his moment, but King of the Ring was not great.
No, SummerSlam was not great. They had the cage match and Undertaker versus Undertaker. That's where we are. Survivor Series 94 might be one of the worst pay-per-views in WWF history. Right? Wrong. And WCW, now we're in Hogan era. So by the end of 94, we have Hogan versus Brutus Beefcake at Starrcade.
But you know what we get out of 1994? How much does that guy weigh?
That's fantastic. Probably the highlight of the year. And then if you want to even take a step further, 95.
And WCW is starting to fucking, they do the Mall of America. They're
Nitro starts in 95.
Yeah, they're starting to take a step up. 94 is when they signed Hogan. They did that parade in the streets, right? In 94.
Yeah, summer 94.
Is 94 is 94 or is it 95 the year that they threw the Big Show off a fucking roof?
That's 95 Halloween Havoc. Yeah, by the end of 95, things are painful.
Yeah.
The Dungeon of Doom, it's fun to go back and laugh at, but like that was not a good time period for wrestling. WWF was running on diesel fuel, which was not a good time for the WWF.
Very, very literally. Yeah.
Yeah, they were in trouble. And then 96, by the end of 96, we really start to turn it around.
Yeah, 96 is one of my, people can shit on 96 all they want. 96 is one of my favorite years in wrestling. 97 is my favorite year in wrestling.
96, from an in-ring standpoint, might be one of the best years in wrestling ever.
96?
Yeah.
I think that's something we'll have to just really take a really good look at it on the show. I think we'll break down 96 one day.
Take a look at both companies, right? In 96, you got Shawn Michaels running wild, man, having bangers with everybody as the world champion. Brett and Austin at Survivor Series, probably the match of the year.
Yeah.
Right? And WCW were fucking rolling hot with the NWO. You know what I mean?
WCW's having a hell of a year in 96.
But the cruiserweights are taking over in 96, right? That's the year where the cruiserweights explode.
We're not going to go too crazy here because I do want to make a show out of this. 96 is going to be here. We're going to focus. We're going to focus on it more. With that said, man, let's start wrapping this up. What do we got going on next week? We're going to do Jay Lee in probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know what we got going on yet next week. I might put a list together. I might try to get an interview for us. I don't know.
Okay, so
we don't even know. We don't even know if we're able to record yet next week together. So.
I know I can't.
Yeah. So you're out next week?
Unless we do it unless we do it like what we're doing right now, 1 o'clock in the fucking morning.
Well, I'll tell you how I feel tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We'll see.
And see if you can do it in a week's time.
Yeah, we'll see. See, the recording part, that's not the bad part, because I could literally just end and go to bed right now, and that's normal.
Yeah.
I gotta be up another fucking hour editing the show and posting it to YouTube and I'm on a 10-day work stretch, so all closes. So it's gonna be hard, but we will get a show out next week. The week after that, we're gonna get Jay Lee on the show. We're gonna really talk about that big live thing we did. Listen to me. Air the live thing we did.
Listen to me. Well, yeah, but we're gonna talk about it with Jay Lee too.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. I want everybody to listen to me right now. I don't care if you're like not in tune with the independent wrestling scene right now. I don't care if you're not from Ontario, and a lot of our listeners are not from Ontario. A lot of you guys don't know Barrier Wrestling. You don't know who Young Jay Lee is. Please, I implore you, in 2 weeks when we put this show out, listen to that show. You're going to thank us. You're going to thank yourself for listening to a show about Young Jay Lee, because in a couple of years, when he's headlining AEW events, you're going to thank us for getting you onto this guy.
100%.
That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. All right. That's it, man. Anything else left for you?
No, I got to start editing. So take us home.
Well, thank you for staying up late. We both have to be up. I have to be up at 6:30. You have to be up at 6, apparently.
Ugh.
I don't believe that. I think
I do.
Shit.
Well, I snooze until 6:45, but
I snooze until 6:35. I got to be up early. We both got to be up early. It is very late, and on behalf of 1993, not that bad a year of wrestling as we thought, you have been counted out.
Cheers.